Welcome back, traders, to another episode of XAUUSD trading strategy, weekly highs and lows technical analysis. I hope your trades for last week went really well. I hope you was able to capitalize on opportunities as it presented itself, and you was able to gain yourself some serious pips and points. Now, if you're new to this channel and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. Now, moving on from that, providing you've gone ahead and done that, is last week Wednesday when I did a video, right, I talked about this area up here. Let me just put a level on that. So this area up here on the Wednesday being a potential weekly high for the week. Reason why I called it is because of the day of the week that we was in. So I was anticipating either we was getting a weekly high on that day of the recording of the video, or it would be on the following day, and at best it would be on a Friday, meaning that my trade that I was in would have been continuously pushing upwards. However, it turned out that the Thursday was the weekly high and price began to collapse downwards, which is fine. So if you spotted that and you was able to take advantage of that, well done to you. Okay, I spotted the entire move downwards, but I chose not to jump into the market just because I am super bullish on gold right now. Okay, so I'm looking for opportunities where I can get in on a buy to the upside, and I'm not so much focused on taking sales right now. I think the biggest payoff is going to be with positioning myself correctly should I find market in an uptrend. At the moment it is on the macro, but on a lower time frame it's in a downtrend. Okay, so I need to be mindful of that. So last week, when price began to collapse on itself, there were a couple FVG zones that it went past. As you can see, we've highlighted them all here. This was in the previous video as to potential areas where price could bounce from. But however, every single one of those levels, okay, was taken out. You could have used this area in a way to help you navigate, right? You could have, but it would not been entirely accurate because price did go into that FEG zone, but it had taken it out in this area over here. So these wicks kind of went into it, but bottom line is it would have been hard for you to read. Okay, but however, if you were looking for sales, it would have been a no-brainer in terms of executing that, especially when that low of the day was taken out. So the low of the day on the Wednesday, when that low was taken out, that would have made trades to the downside a lot easier for you to actually take advantage of. So for example, if I draw a level over here and we're referencing this low point right here, okay, and we go to the 50-minute, you should see that you had an opportunity to get in. You had an opportunity to get in, and you see there it is right there. Okay, you would have had an opportunity to get in on the 15-minute. So if you couldn't get it dead on, you could have taken this one right here and ridden it all the way down, and it would have been the easiest coin that you would have made so far, bearing in mind that market's been zigzagging his way all the way up, taking forever to get to where we need to get to. In a few short hours we had this move all the way down here, okay, which was fantastic. So I'm just going to jump back into the hour again so I can continue sharing with you some of the key areas that I have noticed. Okay, so as price continued on its way downwards, it then knocked out this FVG here as well. Okay, so it knocked that one out, and then it continued on its way downwards, and it parked around this level over here, right? So this level right here, this is where it's kind of positioned itself, and this is where it's sitting right now. Now you could argue that price is going to push up from this zone and head back up again. Okay, I won't argue with that assessment, even though it closed below the FVGs, and we have a clear close under the FVG and a clear open under the FVG as well. So that could indicate that maybe it's not going to push up, but it's going to continue downwards once it's tapped into one of the FVGs created in this area, in this bearish move heading downwards, right? So these are the situations that could present itself. But however, there is more to cover in this area. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do a bit of a cleanup, right? So We're just going to clean some of the stuff we no longer need anymore. We're just going to get rid of all of them. Just try and keep the chart as tidy as possible. I don't think we need this area. And we're going to reference this point again because it's very similar to what took place up here. Okay, so there's another way of utilizing the FEG. Okay, it's not textbook way of utilizing it, but it can be utilized nonetheless, right? And we're going to get rid of these levels over here and this one because we don't need that, and we're going to get rid of that. And I think, okay, I think we're good right now, so we're solid. Let me just push this one back. Okay, so we're good. Our palette is looking relatively clear. Okay, so as it stands, this is how everything is looking right now. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend this trend line across a little bit more. Okay, so we're not going to make it reach the top, we're just going to keep it about here, right? So make sure that it's kind of gone through the bottoms as it stands. Okay, we'll just keep it like that. It's not entirely dead on accurate, but it will serve the purpose as to what I'm trying to share with you guys, right? Okay, so the first area that we want to be mindful of is first things first, we want to put in the weekly highs and lows. So we want to lock those in place. Just want to lock those in place over here, and then we want to lock in the new weekly low down here as well. It's not entirely straight, so just straighten that. Okay, let's go up here. Let's select weekly high and let's change the color to black, and let's change the text also to black. Okay, so we have the weekly high up there, and then let's do the same thing over here with the weekly low. So we've got weekly low set up, make that black, change the text to black also. So now we've got the two levels of interest right now, and then let's assign labels to those locations. So the weekly high was set for us on a Thursday, and that is 2790.15, and the weekly low was set for us on the same day as well, a Thursday, which is 2731.78. So these are the two levels that we want to be mindful of moving forward into week commencing the 4th of November. Okay, and also in saying that as well, we want to be mindful of potential situations that could let us know that there could be a really good opportunity to start selling the market. So to get that information, I'm just extending the trend line a little bit higher, and hopefully it should make sense to you in a moment, right? Because reason being is I want to try to work out the probability of market tapping into the top side of this trend line as often as possible before it collapses, if it does collapse, right? So the first thing that we're going to do right now is I'm going to put in an FEG in this area right at the top, because there's an FEG right there. And then we're going to drag that across, change that color, make that black. So top side FEG is right in this zone. Okay, so this is a potential area to start thinking about maybe putting in sales should we find price at this level. Okay, and should price be moving away from this level. Also as well, we have another FEG that we need to put here, which is another zone that has already been visited by market already, right? So market has already gone into that zone, and that is that right here. Market has visited this FEG already. Then in case price doesn't even come up to these zones, okay, maybe price will come to these zones from where it is right now. Okay, and this is another FEG in this area right here, and then we have another one just under here. potential zones for price to tap into, right? And then we have another really important FVG, and this is the one that holds the most amount of weight in regards to my assessment as to market movement. And for that, I will need to get that from the day. And on the daily view, we have this FVG right here. And for me, this is the most important one. So I'm going to make this one red. Okay. So now let's go back to the hour. So the red FVG is actually derived from these two locations right here. And this one right here. Okay. And this red FVG sits in nicely with the path of market should market follow this trend line that I have just drawn. And remember, just because I've pointed out this FVG, it does not mean that market is going to respect those FVGs, right? But the daily one is the strongest one that I'll be keeping an eye on, just because if any of them is going to get obeyed, or if price is going to respect any of the FVGs, I'm expecting this one being the most likely one to be respected, supposing to either this one up here or these ones down here. Just in my opinion, but obviously market will reveal all, right? So moving forward, what I'm expecting price to do from where it is now, to bounce from this FVG location right here. Okay, now whether that happens or not, we don't know, but I'm just assuming that that's what's going to take place. There's a probability it's going to do that, because if you look at this overall trend line that I've just drawn, and bearing in mind I've literally just pulled it there, so this is just based on what it is that I'm looking at. It's not actually set in stone, and you shouldn't treat trend lines as an absolute. All right, you've always got to be kind of fluid in terms of how you look at it, because market doesn't have to obey it. So as it stands right now, market could disregard this FVG for now and start to push downwards. If it does, these are the areas of interest for us. Okay, so I'll just point to the zones. So it will be this area over here, this little FVG over here is if it keeps pushing downwards, and this area over here. Okay, and finally the weekly low at the bottom if it does the liquidity sweep that low. All right, so these two levels right here, 2722.94 and 2717.66, these are the two levels that if price ignores trying to get up to this FVG and pushes downwards, this is for a week commencing the 4th, I would expect it to visit one of these two levels. If it does visit one of these two levels, it doesn't bounce back up and continues to push downwards, then I'm assuming it's going to target this weekly low over here, which is the previous week's low. That reference point is this number right here, and that is 2708.85. Once it takes out this zone, I'm expecting market to then begin to pull all the way back down again. Okay, at which point we're looking at these levels over here as possible areas for market to go into. Right now, I'm not going to put anything past market doing a massive correction all the way down to around this level, just because we're going to have the election next week. So I think that's going to play a major role in the direction of market in terms of where gold is going to find itself. Right now, this is all just an assumption. Everything I'm saying doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but this is how I will be looking at it if certain conditions appeared on the market for next week. Now, I am also hoping that price continues to push upwards, at which point, like I said, if this level up here is taken out, I will then be positioning myself to ride market all the way up to the upside, because I'll be confident that it's going to continue in that move, right? But also, if it doesn't take this out and it takes out the weekly low like immediately, right, then I'm assuming that this is the area that market is going to be heading to, and once it gets past this level, it could be heading all the way down, say somewhere around here somewhere, right? But however, we're going to be talking about that throughout the week, so I don't want to make it sound final during this presentation that I'm sharing with you guys right now. I would like to say, okay, let's see what happens, say on Tuesday, see where market is. That will kind of give us an idea, and we can track it moving forward as we normally do, right? So that's how everything kind of looks to me at the moment in terms of how I'll be navigating the situation should it present itself. And in terms of the daily FVG that we have in this area, which is the red one, okay, where I would be positioning myself is right under here, and that level in question is this right here. So that will be 2761.71 nearabouts, right? So, and because I've said that, it's important I say this. I'm not a financial advisor giving you financial advice. Everything you're hearing is purely my opinion, right? So everything you do in the market is on you, and you're responsible for it all, okay? Hence why I always say in almost every single video I put out, do the research, make sure it makes sense to you before you commit your hard-earned capital to any trades that you hear in this presentation. All right, so with all of that said and done, right about now you should be seeing two thumbs. One of them is going to be on back testing, and the other is going to be on the previous video to this one. So make sure you go check them out. And also in that video, right, you will see where I talked about this area being possibly the weekly high, and how I justify that wasn't by analyzing the candles, it was just by analyzing the day they were in. What day of the week we were in gives a high probability of certain events taking place in the market. It's not a crystal ball, it usually happens round about all the time. So for example, weekly high set on a Thursday. If we go back, weekly high set on a Wednesday. Once you go past Tuesday, you have to start looking out for weekly highs and weekly lows, right? This concept will absolutely help you moving forward. And if you're not using that, you should start thinking about using that, because during those days from Tuesday onwards, we usually get the weekly high and the weekly low is usually set from Tuesday onwards. Sometimes you get it on a Monday, but in most cases it's going to be from Tuesday onwards. So with all of that covered, my awesome people, I will see you all on the next one.